Hello, my lovely friends. I am making another video for you guys, and this one is about self-worth because I am very passionate about this. So, what about self-worth? What do I mean by that? Why is that important? Well, to give you a little backstory as to sort of why I think that this is so important. I was living in China a number of years ago. It was probably around like 4 years ago. And I was reading an excellent book, and I can link the PDF in the description below. And it was called The End of All Evil by a guy named Jeremy Locke. And he, among some other interesting insights that he has in terms of his philosophy about the world, one of the biggest things that really struck out to me about what he was saying was he was talking about how the society and the world in which we live in is consistently working at telling you that you are not worthy, that you're fundamentally not worthy of doing really anything, and that you are a flawed human being. I mean, just a litany of reasons as to why you shouldn't be able to flourish in your life, why you shouldn't be able to attain your highest goals and your highest purposes, and to actualize the highest version of yourself. If you guys are familiar with Abraham Maslow, Maslow talks about something called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and as you progress up this hierarchy of needs, at the pinnacle, at the very top, is something called self-actualization. And I really believe that the only way that you can self-actualize is if you believe that you're worthy of self-actualizing. Because I meet so many people that have just all of these really destructive behaviors, really limiting belief systems. And this really hinders people from progressing, because when we're born into society, we are sort of like, this is a really great analogy that I heard. We're sort of like a mixing board, a really big mixing board. And if you've seen one of those mixing boards in like a recording studio, there's all sorts of knobs, like thousands of knobs. And what happens is that when we're born, somebody just kind of goes and like changes all of our knobs and adds in a little this here and a little this here, limiting belief system here, beliefs about money, beliefs about God, beliefs about sexuality or race or nationality or worthiness of yourself. Maybe they add in a little child abuse. I don't know. They just add in all sorts of things, good, bad, and neutral. And essentially, when you're born, you have this mixing board that you are a mixing board that's all jumbled up, that's all messed up. And most people don't even think about saying, hey, maybe I think my levels aren't correctly mixed. So life is about getting back to taking those knobs that have been twisted and contorted and bringing it back to equilibrium, bringing it back to the center. And really the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you start to decondition the negative programming in which you have been given in your life. Every single human being in the world is plagued with some form of social conditioning. And these video series are going to be going over a lot of what that social conditioning is, and where it comes from, and how you can sort of get rid of that social conditioning. So why do I really harp on this idea of the idea of worthiness? Well, to go back to my story of it when I was living in China, after reading that passage, I looked around and I saw so many people, and they just had these gloomy faces on. It was almost like I was looking at a bunch of robots. And I realized that there was just so much disempowering belief systems going on in this world right now. And I fundamentally realized that it really had to do with a lack of belief in oneself. There's a really great author by a woman named Brene Brown, and she wrote the book called Daring Greatly. I'm probably going to make a video on that later, just because it's super powerful. And she talks about how society is a shame-based society. Like most of society that we live in is shame-based society, and that's really powerful stuff. And I realized that we need to be grounded. We need to have a solid foundation and a solid grounding to build our belief systems on top of. It reminds me of the Bible quote of a house being built on sand or a house being built on rock, and how our belief systems, our fundamental understandings of who we are and how we interact with the world needs to be solid, and it needs to be grounded, and it primarily needs to be based in love. And what does love do? Love allows you to create. Love is the generating principle of this world. So if you love yourself and you believe in your worthiness of actualizing your highest goals, what starts to happen is you start to build on a foundation that is grounded in solidarity. Because most of what happens in society is that we are built on a foundation of disempowering beliefs. And I got this inspiration to start this apparel company called Simple Truths Apparel that has this just big letters that say you have infinite self-worth. And of course, we have other shirts and stuff too. But it's really to consistently remind yourself over and over and over again of your worthiness of actualizing your highest goals and dreams, and to bust through the barriers of these limiting belief systems that everybody has in this world. And so it's so important to have your foundation of your belief systems be that of worthiness, be that of love, be that of actualization, because every single human being is gifted with incredible talents, amazing talents, and most of society and most of life is not formulated to where we are flourishing within our talents and within our highest goals and abilities. And for a very long period of time, I was ashamed of talking about things, and I didn't feel qualified, I didn't feel worthy of talking about these things. And I actually remember specifically that I had expressed an interest in being a psychologist when I was younger, and then I eventually moved that over to business and entrepreneurship. But I'll never forget that when I was talking to my father, I could tell that he sort of had like a dismissive laugh about it, of me suggesting that. And that kind of really struck me, and it made me believe that that wasn't some kind of a worthwhile job to do, that there was some sort of laughable feature of that, and that it was just all a bunch of touchy-feely nonsense, and it didn't really have any substance or importance within the world and society. And that sort of shaped the trajectory in which I viewed my world. And only until I turned, I literally just turned 27. It was only until I turned 26 or 27 did I really realize the importance that was part of the gift that I had, was being able to analyze situations and being able to put a different spin on different things to where it's more empowering and more enlivening, to help awaken the true deepest potential within every single human being on this earth. Because now more than ever, we need to be living our gifts. We need to be living love. We need to be flowing in the consciousness of Christ, because Christ, the consciousness of Christ is just pure love and pure service to humanity. And this is what we need to do. And when we are in alignment with our gifts and the gifts that we've been granted when we were born, this is when we reach the state of flow. This is when we reach the state of Christ consciousness. This is when we reach the state of pure service to others. And we must do this. At this time, we must be doing this. And so we need to start to deconstruct the limiting belief systems in which we have. So an exercise that I want to get for you guys, and I talked about this in my video about the shadow work, but I want you guys to write down some limiting belief systems that you have. I guarantee you that most people have limiting belief systems about everything in the world. So just to give you guys some context, and maybe these are some things that you guys can consider doing as sort of an exercise, is write down what your belief systems are about your career, your abilities, money, relationships, your future, and so those are good things that you can write down about, because generally those are things which really hold people back the most. And I promise you that when you reach this flow, when you reach this realization of what you need to be doing, and it's also called you're following your dharma, or what you're supposed to be doing in this world, things just effortlessly come to you. When I started making some of these videos, it was just like bam, 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 bam. And I literally have a list of 80 videos that I want to do for you guys. Really important information that I think needs to get out at this time and age, this insane time in the world. So this is really a call to awaken your hearts, to realize that yes, everybody has limiting belief systems about themselves, and what we need to do is we need to start to be aware of these limiting belief systems and to start to deconstruct these limiting belief systems so that we can live in our empowerment. And it's a difficult task, because what this does is it forces you to confront the negativity about yourself. But this is what strengthens you. This is what makes you strong. And we need to do this. We need to be strong more than ever. And anybody who's watching this video, this is not by accident. I really think that you are meant to come across this video and be reminded of this, that now is the time to step into your power. And you do this fundamentally by realizing your worthiness of stepping into your power, because you are worth stepping into your power. The fact that you're alive is a statistical miracle. It's like you won the cosmic lottery. There's like an absurd percentage that that the fact that the sperm that was you fertilized the egg and came into existence. I mean, it's really incredible. And you're gifted with this amazing talents that if you're not living those talents, if you're not living the talents that you were gifted and you were granted, you will suffer all of your life. And this is where a lot of suffering comes from. A lot of disempowering, a lot of anger, a lot of resentment is really not living your dharma, not living your life's deepest purpose. This is big. Not living your life's deepest purpose. If you're not living your life's deepest purpose, you will suffer. And you're actually doing the world a disservice if you're not doing that, because everybody has incredible gifts. And when you're aligned with that life's deepest purpose, things are going to effortlessly flow. It's going to be so easy for you. You're going to jump out of bed. You're going to be feeling so much joy. You're going to be feeling so much inspiration. And it's time. It's time for you to awaken now. If you're hearing this and you're feeling down in the dumps, let this be a reminder, a gentle and loving reminder that you are worthy of accomplishing and actualizing your highest potential, because you need to do it. And you have to believe that you're worthy of doing it. And you are worthy of doing it. Everybody is worthy of doing it. And sometimes we just need to hear this. So I love you guys. I wouldn't be getting on here and telling you guys this if I didn't really love you guys. Every single human being on this planet I deeply love and care about. And when you reach these realizations of the worthiness, you realize that every single person that you're talking to is just a reflection of yourself. So you can only love another human being as much as you love yourself. It first must come from within. And the way that you can love yourself the most is by living your dharma, living your highest, life's deepest purpose. And this is the process of how to do it. So I'm always here to support you guys. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm on Instagram. The link's in the description below. If you want to support the apparel company, 10% of all of our proceeds go to MAPS, Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. They're doing some amazing work with plant-based medicine to help really make some profound healing changes in people's hearts and souls. So thank you guys. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys soon.